Hi, welcome back, my dear students. In this lecture here, we're going to be doing a couple things, all right? First, and we are here in session.php. First thing is that I want to set a default value for session here, for session signed in, the signed in property, and I just want to set it to false. Then the next thing I want to do, that we want to do, and I hope you're typing this with me, is that we also want to call this automatically, all right? So we want to call this, all right, every time our application starts. So we're calling this method automatically with our construct method. All right, so that's the first thing. Actually the second thing. The third thing is that we need to build a method, a getter function, that's going to be able to get a private value from our class, and that we are going to be using to check if the user is logged in or not. So that is going to be a public method, but it's called a getter function most of the time. So it's super simple to make, and I think we already have designed, created getters and setters before in the course. All right. So let's go ahead, and so you should already know how to do this. But if not, don't worry. We are going to be taking care of that right now. So I'm just going to show you right now how this is done, and then I'm going to explain it to you. So I'm just going to call this method here is signed in, all right, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to return a true or false value depending on what the current value of this property is right here. So for example, right here, so all it's going to do is return this property at any given time that we ask for it. So for example, if we go and call this method somewhere in our page, it's going to return this property, and this property will have a value of false or true at the time. And if it's false, that means that user is not signed in, right? So if it is true, then that means the user is signed in. So that's why we're going to be using this. But keep in mind that this is a public method that we can call from anywhere, and is getting a private value, a private property value there. All right, so keep that in mind. So this is called a getter method, all right, or function. So now the next thing is that we also need to build a function to log in the user, right? Well, we're going to build a function that is going to go inside the database and make sure that the user is there. If the user is there, then it's going to give us a true or false, right? It's going to give us the user information. So let's go ahead and build this function real quick here, and then I will explain to you how this works. So let's build a public function called login, and that's what we're going to be calling it. And this function here, or this method, is going to take the user from another function that we're going to be building in a minute. So here, once we get a result from the other method that we're going to be creating, and I'm calling a method a function, don't mind that. If I say function, it's a method if it's inside a class. If it's just the way that I'm used to saying it, so don't take it the wrong way, right? Function is the same thing as a method. We just call it a method when it's inside a class. But anyway, so once we get this result that the user is available, right, then we're going to be doing a couple things with it. All right, so this function is just going to log in the user. We're going to create another function that's going to check for the user in the database, but we're not there yet. All right, so if user is there, let's just say user, then we want to assign some values to this property right here. So we're going to say this user ID. All right, and what do you think we want to assign to this user ID property here? All right, can you guess? Well, let me give you a clue. Actually, let me show you. It's going to be the session ID. That's the first thing that we want to assign when we are logging in the user. We want to make sure that this is available throughout our application, these sessions. So we want to assign this session to the user so we can know that the user is in every page of our site. Then another thing that I also want to assign, we want to assign, is the user ID from that object. All right, and don't get confused here. All right, this user ID is from the object. We're going to be using this in the user.php class, right? Well, we're going to be using it together with this class here. All right. So this is what we are referring to, that user ID. All right. So don't get confused there. All right. So let's go back to session.php. So we are assigning it the user ID, and at the same time we are assigning the session user ID to this object right here. So we are assigning two things to this object right here. So that's why object-oriented programming is so cool, right? All right. So another thing that we want to do is that we want to mark this true. We want to say that the user is signed in already. Signed in. So we just say true. All right. All right. So later on, you're gonna understand it a little more if for some reason you can't understand it. But know that we're getting the user. This value here is coming from the database. Later on, we're gonna create another method that is going to check the user in the database and bring us back the result. Once we get that result, then we are using this function to log in the user. All right. So keep that in mind. Anyway, thank you so much. I think this lecture is long enough. So again, thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully this was good, easy to you. If not, if you have any questions, I'm here 24/7 to help you out. Keep up the good job. Make sure that you write just like me. Keep it motivated, because this is going to take your career to another level. I promise you, once you learn this, you will never look back. You will get a job anywhere. You can make more money anywhere. So keep a lot of attention. Wake up if you're sleeping, get some coffee, get something and wake up and do this, because this is going to pay off just like it has for me. Thank you so much, and I see you in the next lecture.